Dun, 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 dun. I am back. It's just a guy on my lunch break. I had to get in one video, at least one, for you guys today. Just getting started. Listen, I haven't posted in almost a week, but every time I look, I'm like, oh, more subscribers. We're about to hit 800, guys. We're about to hit 800 subscribers. I'm like 5 away, I think, from another milestone there. So I really do appreciate that support. That always in every situation goes back to you guys. And what this is just a platform where you can talk about substance use, substance abuse. Everyone that pops on this channel falls somewhere within the spectrum of heavy substance abuse, moderate substance abuse but working on it, low levels of substance abuse. And then we have people pop on the channel that have said, I can't do the substance abuse thing because when I start abusing anything, I go so freaking hard in the paint that my life literally just starts to unravel. Just like so. And so I've had to make the decision for my own personal well-being to completely come off of it. Everybody that comes on this channel falls on that scale. So one thing you'll learn about just a guy on my lunch break, never will judgment come to you from me because of where you may be on your own personal journey and where you may be or land on that scale. Okay? That is always in every situation for you to figure out. You guys know this about me. You know this about me. You see me get on here and fight with people who come on and try to start pointing fingers at people and trying to bully other people in doing what they're doing. Like, bruh, maybe they're not where you're at right now. You know, a lot of times it takes just that one thing, that one perfect thing, and one certain negative, you can have a million negative consequences, right? But then there's always that one that has there's always that one negative consequence that happens to you because of your substance abuse that just has that perfect flavor to it, where you're just like, okay, that was it. Yeah. Where's the towel? I'm throwing in the towel. I don't want to do this shit anymore, right? You can go through a million negative things, but there's always that one, that's two. There's always that one that's going to make you say, okay, yeah, I didn't like that. It's time for a change, right? But everyone does not get there by the same means, for the same reason, and at the same time, okay? So for somebody else to come on and try to insist to another person that they should do exactly what they are doing with their Kratom journey, with their own Kratom journey, is quite narcissistic to me. And it's counterproductive. And it is demotivating to people who do want to make changes because it's difficult. It's hard. If it wasn't, we would all be sober and none of us would be using anything. Mind blown. So if that is true, then get off your high horse, bro. Appreciate you. You can express your opinion. But I don't allow people to get on here and try to bully other people into getting where they are with substance use. Even if that means completely off of it. You know? Think about something. To that narcissist who thinks that they can get on here and bully someone else to do exactly what they're doing or have done, to that narcissist, there was a point where you weren't ready to quit, right? And when did that point come where you finally decided to quit? Was it because somebody else jumped online and bullied you into quitting? Or did something personally, on a personal level, happen to you that caused you to sit alone in a room and bargain with yourself and make an agreement with yourself? Okay, that was it. That was the straw that was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back right there. I don't want to do this anymore. You made that decision. Someone else didn't make it for you. I'm not saying nobody ever told you. There's probably been people to tell you. But I fucking bet you didn't do it until you were ready to do it. Am I right or am I wrong? So that's why, you know, you get on this platform, and some people are haters. Some people are haters, you know, because they think that because I'm still currently on a small amount of Kratom. Today is going to be 13 grams for me, by the way. So my Kratom taper is down to 13 grams. I'll let you guys know next week how that goes. I've been on 14 grams all this past week. I'm pretty settled there, so I'll be moving to 13 grams. But a lot of people get on here and judge, and they want me to get on here and do the NA or the AA route and just start pointing fingers and wagging fingers at people and getting everybody to get collectively sober. No. I mean, what a thoughtless concept, right? There's never going to be a time in history, and there's never going to be a time where all of us are in collective alignment with what we are intending to do with substance use. Some people are new to it. Some people are old to it. Some people haven't had any bad experiences with it yet. Some people have just taken one hit after another, and every time they try to stand up, boom, knocks them right back down, right? That person who's been knocked down 50 times already is not going to be at the same place in their journey as the person who's only been knocked down once. It's the plow mule method. You ever heard of that? You know, this guy sells him a donkey. He said, the farmer said, this is my best plow mule that I've ever owned. Okay? So I'm going to give you this plow mule. But I expect good money for it. So he gave, you know, the guy gave him, the farmer, an obscene amount of money for the plow mule, right? Because he just talked this plow mule up like, man, this is the best, you know, one I've ever had. So the guy gets it home, next day, takes it out there in the fields, get ready for it to plow. The mule wouldn't go anywhere, wouldn't plow any of the fields. Just sat there, just looked at him, chewing the cud. It's like, thought he said this was the best plow mule. Try it again. Mule wouldn't do anything. Just sat there. So he went back. Next day to the farmer, he's like, I'm gonna need you to come out here and show me what's going on. You sold me a dud. You know, this donkey won't do anything. So the farmer comes over and he said, well, did you try the plow mule method? He's like, what? Plow mule method? What are you talking about? So this farmer picks up this big ass stick, boom, hits the donkey over the head about 5 times. Boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden that mule picks up and starts plowing the shit out of that field. One row, back, another row, back, another row, back. And the guy who bought the donkey bought the mule was just holding on for dear life. Like, holy shit, thank you very much. He's like, what'd you do? He's like, it's the plow mule method. So, sometimes we're that mule. Sometimes life has got to come through and boom, 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 hit you over the head about 5 or 6 times. Sometimes more for some of us. Some of us are really hard-headed. I got a thick-ass skull, you know? And we're not all the same, you know? Some people, it might take them a couple of times getting knocked down, and they have enough of a dislike for it where they're like, damn, okay, ain't doing that anymore. And then some of us can take that same hit 25 times and be like, well, maybe I can still use this. I'm gonna figure this out eventually. I know it's been 25 times, but 50, that's my cutoff point. If I ain't figured it out by the time I get knocked down the 50th time, that probably means I'm never gonna figure it out. So I'll throw in the towel then. All right? It just depends on the person. It always does. But so yeah, so I had a doctor's appointment this Monday. It's just my regular 6-month checkup. I'll let you know where they do blood work and trying to talk me into getting a colonoscopy. I've already talked about that. Like, no, bro. Send me the fucking Cologuard. Send it on. You know, I'll snip off a piece of my shit and mail it to some lab or something. We'll do it that way. I don't want nobody digging around up in my butt. Plus, I've shared with you guys before I have a hemorrhoid. That's right. you tuned in to Just a Guy on my lunch break to hear me talk about any and everything that I want to talk about. And sometimes that includes a hemorrhoid. Yeah, so I don't want anybody. I'm sure I will eventually do it, but I'm just going to go the Cologuard method at first. Much less invasive than somebody playing around in my asshole. I'm not, it's not my thing. That's exit only, hopefully. But anyway, so that took me about 3.5 hours Monday morning because the doctor's office was backed up, so I missed about a good 3.5 hours of work. I'm trying not to use all of my PTO time. It's early in the year, it's February, right? And so the other option there is you can work through lunch and make up some of your time so that you don't have to use PTO. Well, as you know, I'm just a guy on my lunch break. Well, what if I'm not getting the lunch break? Then I'm just a guy. It's just a guy on my lunch break. It's not just a guy. I mean, that goes against everything I am. Everything that I will ever be. I'll always be just a guy on my lunch break. But so yeah, I haven't been able to do any. And plus, I've had other stuff going on. And listen, I'm going to talk about some of it. It's not Kratom related at all. But your boy's making some moves. And I've got some things going on. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit later on. But once I mention it and once I tell you guys will understand. You'll be like, okay, well, I see why you didn't talk about it. So, but I will eventually. And I've had some other stuff going on too, in a positive way. But so stay tuned for that. And then I'm gonna talk a little bit about something called Conolidine really quick. And I'll explain what that is a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about that today. And then you guys have been asking me, we got almost 800 subscribers. This is a good platform. When I don't come on for a few days, people jump on like, hey man, you good? What's going on? Miss your videos. I do appreciate it. That really makes me feel good that you guys give a shit and you notice when I actually don't post. So I have some avid listeners and I really appreciate that. And I guess my point in saying that is a lot of you guys have asked me throughout time, ways that you can support me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. I'm not going to go into some specifics on it, but I have something coming up, something coming down the pipeline kind of soon where I think I'm going to be able to post a link for you guys, and there'll be a way that you guys can maybe support me a little bit, right? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit towards the end if I can. But so Conolidine, a lot of you may not have heard of it, and I did try to print out some information on it because it's a relatively new, I don't want to say invention because it's a natural, comes from a natural bark of a plant that exists naturally. So obviously, God invented it. But as far as it being isolated and then marketed in some particular way for some sort of benefit, health or otherwise, it's kind of new, right? It's kind of a new novelty sort of concept, right? So, but I got to give credit to one of the followers of the channel, a guy named Preston told me about it. Preston, thank you, bro. He told me about the Conolidine, and he believes in it so much. The guy actually bought me some Conolidine. No shit. Yeah, he cashed out to my wife. Like, what's your wife's cash out? Dude bought me some Conolidine to try it. So mad respect, man. I really appreciate that, Preston. And so I'm gonna try it because I can't help but trust this guy. He paid for it, and he's saying that it's really doing wonders for him. He was on Kratom for a while, and I know Preston won't mind if I tell a little bit about his story, but he's an East Coast guy. He's a northern East Coast guy. He's from up in New York, but he said up to like 1 MIT 45 a day, and I don't know if it was before that or after. He was also up to a pretty good amount of powder every day. I think that was at a different time, but he said that he pretty much came straight off of the MIT 45 and he began taking this Conolidine. And last I talked to him, he was about 5 days off, and he said he's feeling pretty good. So he feels like this may have a lot of indications of being able to help with withdrawal, but without a lot of the detrimental side effects that come with like a usual, opiate like substance. Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit about Conolidine. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell you, the shit's a little bit expensive. All right. I ordered a dropper of it that's probably about this big. Now, I don't know what really the dosage is. I imagine you probably just put a couple of drops, sublingually, like up under the tongue or whatever. So you probably don't take a lot at a time. I'm sure it's pretty concentrated, but you're talking like $60 for a little thing. But dude, if it really works, and it can really help you, because, Preston, he says he did almost like a cold turkey. He went off the MIT 45. He was off for about a day, he said, and he was definitely feeling the withdrawals and stuff like that. And then he started on the Conolidine, I think, on the second day, and apparently it helped him a lot. And this is a guy that should have been in acute withdrawals. So there's not a lot of studies on it, because like I said, it's kind of new on the table, is the Conolidine. But it's one of those where he's trying to work on some anecdotals, which means human stories. We're trying it on ourselves, it's like human trial sort of thing. And so he's trying to get some anecdotals together for that. And I have some that's been ordered, and it's supposed to arrive to me sometime today, sometime Friday, which is today, by 9 o'clock. So when I get the Conolidine, I'm going to, I might do it this weekend since it's the weekend, or I might wait until sometime next week. Like I said, I'm down to 13 grams. I'm starting to cut it down. I'm starting to get a little bit down to the nitty gritty of the taper, close to the 10-gram mark. Once you start getting under the 10-gram mark, it's starting to get real, especially for somebody who a couple of months ago, I was taking 40, sometimes 50 grams in a day, right? So pretty proud of myself to be down to 13 grams at this point, but anything will help. And if this is something that will help without the, without any of the negative side effects, and it's also not an opiate and is not an addictive, material, okay? Or an addictive substance, should I say. So let me read about Conolidine, and, whenever I try it, and I'm able to give some anecdotals about how it helped me, if at all, then at that time I'm gonna tell you guys about it, and I don't know if they'll allow me to drop a link, but I'll figure out a way to get some information to you guys. So it's Conolidine, Conolidine. Conolidine has unique qualities that can be beneficial for the management of chronic pain. Conolidine is found in the bark of the flowering shrub T. divaricata. Damn, I should have practiced that one before the show started. Otherwise known as the pinwheel flower. Let's go with that. It's the pinwheel, the bark of the pinwheel flower, okay, or crepe jasmine, and is used in traditional Chinese Ayurvedic, Ayurvedic. Damn. Never heard of that. Must be an Asian country. And Thai medicine to treat pain and fever. The body's opioid system regulates its response to pain, and many opioid medications target this system for chronic pain relief. However, opioid drugs can have dangerous long-term and short-term side effects. Additionally, scavenger receptors can negatively regulate the effectiveness of naturally produced opioids in the body. A new study shows that the compound Conolidine found in the pinwheel flower only binds to one particular scavenger receptor. Researchers believe that blocking this scavenger receptor means that it can no longer prevent naturally produced opioids from interacting with the opioid receptors that promote pain relief. Okay? So stop right there. Researchers believe that blocking this scavenger receptor means that it can no longer prevent naturally produced opioids. So you're in opioid depletion mode when you've been on something like Kratom or some other sort of opiate, right? You're in opiate depletion mode, and then this opiate like substance or Kratom or whatever it is that you're taking is attaching to all these traditional opiate receptors and keeping the opiate peptides from being released and, you know, having free range out in your brain and your blood and so forth and so on. Okay, and what this does is attaches to the scavenger receptor, which means that it can no longer prevent naturally produced opioids from interacting with the other opioid receptors, right? So in effect, the short of the long story is it can help you have more opiate peptides floating around in your body at a time where you are depleted of what? Opiate peptides. Okay, so I think even though there's very, very little research on how, in fact, this actually, and there's a name for the scavenger receptor, I actually don't think it's on here. It starts with an A, AKC or some shit like that, receptor, the scavenger receptor that it's talking about. But there has been little to, if any, other than just like some anecdotal studies or anecdotal records from people who maybe have tried it, little to any actual data on whether this helps with opiate withdrawal and stuff like that. I think the indications, because of its effects on this scavenger opiate receptor and its effects, obvious positive effects on pain management, as it's been used in, you know, traditional Chinese and Thai medicine for hundreds of years, they believe that because of that, it's likely going to what? Help with opiate withdrawals. It just makes sense. Okay, so it's safe to use. You know, it's something that exists naturally. It has been used for years and years and years and years in Western society, and a couple of places. One of them is called GDR Labs. Are, you know, making like a tonic. I don't guess you would call it a tonic. It would be in a dropper. It would be some sort of extract that has this Conolidine in it. So I'm gonna try it, and I'm gonna see, and I'm gonna tell you and report to you guys whether it actually gives me some sort of positive benefit, or if it actually helps me with the Kratom withdrawal. In order to do that, at some point this weekend or next week or whatever it is, I'm gonna have to completely stop using the Kratom. Okay, and that's what I'll do. I'll actually stop using it for a whole day. I'll see how I feel, see if I notice anything any different, and see if I'm still getting the traditional withdrawals, and then I'm going to try my best to not take it at night too. Now listen, I'm going to tell you now, it ain't going to take me long. If I lay down at night, it's going to take me all of 30 minutes to recognize whether this is actually going to be able to help me sleep or not, because the withdrawal presence at night when you lay down from something like, you know, dependency on some sort of opiate, that's when it is most noticeable in you physically. And it's not going to take me but 30 minutes after taking this Conolidine for a whole day and not taking Kratom. 30 minutes in bed, I'll have an answer. I'll have an answer. And if the shit's not working, you know, it's supposed to be a fast-acting, like, immediate sort of thing. So if it's not working, I'll know it. And then maybe at that point, I'll just look to kind of, you know, assess whether it did help some, like, during the day, or it kind of made it less, or it diminished them a little bit, whether it took it away altogether, the withdrawals, or whether I just noticed, like, less severity of them. So maybe it helps some. Maybe it doesn't completely take the withdrawals away, but maybe it helps some. You know, that sort of thing. And if that's the case, then maybe I can just start introducing it into my already current slow taper regimen, excuse me. So that's what I'm going to do there. Let me read the rest of this about the Conolidine real quick, and then I'm going to finish this thing up. My lunch break is a little shorter today, so I'm going to have to finish this thing up in about 5 minutes here. So the opioid system in the human body comprises many proteins, receptors, and other compounds that all play a vital role in controlling people's pain responses and behaviors toward reward and addiction. In addition to the body's naturally produced proteins, known as opioid peptides, there are opioid analgesic medications, These include drugs such as morphine and oxycodone, which doctors often prescribe to treat chronic pain. These drugs, which mimic the function of the opioid peptides, can have significant side effects when people take them frequently or in high amounts. Not only can they cause respiratory depression, Kratom, not really. That's not really proven. I've never noticed, and I've taken pretty high amounts. I've never noticed any respiratory suppression with Kratom. With oxycodone, oh yeah, Percocets back in the day when I was taking high amounts of those. I've told this story before. I was a 29-year-old young healthy man, and it suppressed my breathing so much a couple of times when I took such high amounts that I literally was terrified to go to sleep because I thought I was just going to stop breathing in my sleep. Literally. I mean, my breath sounds would be like this. That's how shallow my breath sounds were, as opposed to and that's me taking deep breaths, but it literally scared me, right? I've never noticed that with Kratom. But with that said, that doesn't mean that a lot of the other withdrawals aren't very similar to the opiate type withdrawals. The opioid crisis is a public health crisis that is further tied to racial and economic disparities. I'm sorry, I wanted to finish what I was saying. They not only cause respiratory depression, but constipation, nausea, and they also are highly addictive in nature and have led to increasing rates of fatal overdose. Okay, I skipped that part. And the opioid crisis is a public health crisis that is further tied to racial and economic disparities, and finding alternative therapeutic options to address chronic pain is just one part of the solution. A recent study showed that a plant-derived compound called Conolidine might work to increase opioid peptides, pain-regulating activity, suggesting that it could be a safer alternative to opiate drugs, right? And then we just got a bunch of sources here from where these scientists studied and their whole life history and what their GPA was when they were in third grade and all that stuff. So yeah, that's the thing about it. And it's just saying that this stuff could possibly help not only with pain management, but there's also some underlying whispers in the scientific community that it could also play an effective role in helping with withdrawal from opiate-like substances. Okay, it identifies with this scavenger opiate receptor, and they already know what the mechanism of function is there and how it increases naturally occurring opiate peptides within the brain and within the blood. They already know this, so it just makes sense, even though the studies have not really been substantiated, or this theory has not necessarily been substantiated other than with rats. And it definitely helped them in different ways. I have to find the study that they did on mice that they found out about its analgesic pain relieving properties. But I don't think they've used it in the sense to see how does it help with withdrawal, right? But all the indications are that it could. There's a strong possibility it could. They just don't have the studies to necessarily prove it at this point. It's going to have to come from human lab rats, people doing it on themselves, like my boy Preston, and like me. I'm getting ready to try it. So anyway, it's safe, it's dangerous. It's safe, it's not dangerous. People are taking it anyway. So I don't want anyone to be like, oh, that sounds scary, man. Ain't nobody ever done this and you getting ready to put it in your mouth. No. People use it all the time. It's safe. People are using it for like a alternative natural method for dealing with chronic pain. And it's been proven safe to market to people. We're just going to try it from a different angle, from a different perspective, to see if it can help in the case of like decreasing the severity of opioid withdrawals. Got it? Okay. All right. Next time I come on, which is going to be next week, I will talk to you guys about what it is that you can do to help support me a little bit. I'm going to have a link that you can click. And this is a way for you guys just to kind of come on, show a little support, maybe be able to support me a little bit financially in this endeavor, because I do spend a lot of